Oh, sorry. YouTube. Didn't see you there. So, hey, what's up? What's going on, YouTube? So, if you're not sure, well, this is the third in a series of paradox time travel videos. And if you want to see all of them, you can go to my channel and go to the playlist. Unless, of course, you're already in the playlist, then, hey, welcome to the third video in the playlist. This is a playlist. So anyway, um, today I will be talking about the Biff Almanac paradox, because I've been focusing mainly on Back to the Future paradoxes. So anyway, in Back to the Future, we have Timeline A. Timeline A, um, uh, George gets hit by Sam's car. Lorraine and George fall in love, and George is a wimp. Timeline B is the better timeline because Marty gets hit by Sam's car. Lorraine falls in love with Marty, and then George punches Biff. Then Lorraine and George fall in love, but Biff ends up being a wimp. Then, so in timeline B is now the normal timeline. So, at the end of the first movie, Doc and Marty fly towards the screen, and in the second movie it shows they go to 2015, which isn't that far away now. Only about 3 years, three and a half years to go to if we wanted to get to the exact date they did. I think it's about 3.5 years. Anyway, so in the timeline B future, old Biff takes the almanac, takes a Gray's Sports almanac from Marty, which tells all the results of horse races, other stuff. I'm not sure exactly what it did, but it had all the results of things you can bet on. Sorry I'm coughing so much. I have a cold, so. Anyway, so old Biff takes the DeLorean and goes back to 1955 and gives the almanac to his younger self.
Hey, I'm an old version of you. Here's a Gray Sports Almanac. It'll tell you the results of any betting race you got to think of. Why don't you make like a tree and get out of here? It's leave. Make like a tree and leave. You sound like a fool when you say it wrong. Yeah, right, that's just about as smart as a screen door on a battleship. It's a screen door on a submarine, you moron. Anyway, thanks for the almanac. You're welcome. And if anyone ever tries to steal it, like a guy that looks like Albert Einstein or some guy that looks like Michael J. Fox, shoot them with this gun. Wow, a gun. Thanks, older me. Oh, you're welcome. Goodbye now.
Basically, that's not exactly what happened, but older Biff gave the almanac to his younger self. So, now we've created Timeline C. Timeline C is Marty gets hit by Sam's car, Lorraine falls in love with Marty, George punches Biff, and Lorraine and George fall in love. But the difference is now Biff has the sports almanac, and so now that he's altered the future, now by 1985, which is the present day, or present year, he's now rich and powerful. He pretty much owns Hill Valley. He owns the police. He's got a huge hotel. And somewhere in the 1990s, in 1973, Biff killed George and married Lorraine. And then sometime in the 1990s, Lorraine was fed up with Biff's abusiveness and killed him. Yep, she killed Biff. So, the thing is, if Biff was dead before 2015, he couldn't have gone back in time to give his younger self the almanac. So this has raised a lot of questions. And how is this possible? Well, you see, Marty and Doc are only in the past for, I don't know, how long is it? About 2 hours is, I think, how long Marty was knocked out. So they're only in the past probably about 3 to 4 hours. That might not have been enough time for time to catch up with them and alter their reality and everything to destroy the universe. Like in the first movie, it took the entire movie for Marty to start disappearing. And so you can assume that the ripple effects come very slowly. And that is why old Biff is able to travel to the timeline B 2015. So anyway, in timeline C, Marty and Doc go back in time to 1955. They are now in timeline. They are now in, when they arrive there, they are in timeline B. Later, a little while later, you see young Biff go to get his car, and then old Biff is there. And as soon as old Biff showed up, that created timeline C, because he altered the past somehow. Anyway, timeline C really starts when Biff goes and gives his younger self the almanac.
Thanks, man. Shoot Einstein and Michael J. Fox. All right, make like a tree and get on a battleship.
Anyway, and then so once old Biff leaves, Marty and Doc finally at the end of the dance get the book from Biff and go back to the normal 1985. Now, this has raised some questions for people who have actually figured it out, but as soon as Marty and Doc showed up, that created timeline D. Timeline D is Marty gets hit by Sam's car, Lorraine falls in love with Marty, old Biff gives younger Biff the almanac, Marty and Doc get the almanac from young Biff, and George punches Biff, and Biff is a wimp. And then Marty and Doc return to 1985. And so, they did all of this before a paradox occurred. And something you may not know by now is timeline B and timeline D are very extremely similar to each other. There might only be some very slight differences. That's because in timeline C, the only thing different between timeline D and C is that in D, Biff had the almanac for a matter of hours. So it's not that different, but there might be some minor differences, but not enough to affect their present day. And they all did this before the ripple effects occurred, and so it's totally possible that that happened. And so the universe wasn't destroyed. And so it's also very possible that in timeline D, it's very possible that in timeline D there was the slight difference was enough that for some weird reason when Biff was in the future, or well when Marty and Doc were in the future, Biff wasn't there to overhear them talking about the almanac, go back in time and give it to his younger self. So all in all, timeline D is the best timeline to have. Basically. So, wow, this is a pretty long video. So I think I've taken up enough of your time. Unless, of course, you enjoy watching these paradox videos. Then I'm really glad you enjoy watching these. But, I think I've taken up enough of your time, really. So, that's about it. So, bye. Hope you enjoyed the video.